You know, I don't even stream this late. I don't. It's not late to me. I'm a night out. But it is 10:48 Eastern Standard Time. So for all my people who follow me on the East Coast, you know, they might not tune into this, but that's okay. I'm all right with it. I'll just give some. I said I was going to do a stream, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns and do a stream after just watching the debate. So I just watched the Trump Kamala Harris. This is their first debate. Some say it could be the last one. I hope it's not for many reasons. But first things first, welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy, the underdog. Let's go in. On this channel, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them, even if nobody's watching. All right, we are at somewhere around 4127. Let's see if we can get to 4150 by tomorrow morning. All right, let's try to get there. We on our way to 5K. All right. Well, we are talking about Trump and Donald Trump and Kamala Harris just had their first debate in Philadelphia, and it was, here's the reality, right? So whenever you watch a presidential debate, here's what's going to happen. Here's how you can tell which side think they won and lost, all right? Because whenever you watch a debate, here's what basically happens. If you're voting for whoever candidate you're voting for, you're going to say, for the most part, they won the debate. Because in large part, you just think the other people are just liars, right? And no debate is 100% full, like lie proof. They don't. Everyone exaggerates, they lie because they know that there are things the American people don't know. Like most Americans don't know about fracking. Only a small percentage of people, most of you probably Googled it if you cared about it, whatever. You don't know about that, right? So there are going to be things that you hear that for us, we don't even know about. So whenever you watch a debate, you're going to have people who say their side won and all of that. So you can't trust that. You need something a little bit more objective as best as possible. The other reason when you can tell how someone feels like they lost a debate is what do like the political pundits on their side say immediately after the debate. So as soon as the debate was over, I went to one of the most popular conservative YouTube pages and immediately, and this is true, what he said was true, but immediately he went after, they were fact checking Trump the whole time, right? All they did was, so he's trying to show bias, right? Here's the problem with that though. If Trump is telling the truth, then fact checking shouldn't be a problem at all because they're just going to prove that he's telling the truth. The fact that they are upset that they were, and it's true, they did. I don't think they fact checked Kamala Harris one time at all. And she definitely slid some fastballs in there. But you just, so I think the conservatives know, everyone knows this. All right. So I'm not going to give you all the play-by-play and talk the politics. I'm going to come from a different perspective because you're going to watch a ton of people tonight and tomorrow give you their winners and losers, and they're going to tell you why Kamala lost, why Trump lost, whoever, right? I'm going to give you something a little different. If you follow the channel, I try to, on myself, I don't try to do it. This is the way I think. And I try to present a different way to see some things sometimes. So let me give you what we just watched, if you watched the debate. You didn't watch a truth-telling conversation. You didn't watch a very descriptive political positional treatise. That's not what we saw. Here's what we watched. We watched a courtroom scene. We watched two lawyers going at it, and I'm using this proverbially. Even though Kamala Harris was an attorney beforehand and Trump, but I'm using an illustration, not literally saying they were lawyers going at it. But we watched a courtroom scene where you have two lawyers pleading their case to us. We are the jury, the general public, everyone watching. We are the jury. And what you saw was not really built on, you saw two different styles today and they clashed. And one of them, I think, worked better than the other. there were two different styles of politics that we saw, two different kinds of deliveries. And I think sometimes, this is what I think, the people who win the debate don't usually win it by proving they have better policies, right? Because to be honest with you, most Americans, most of us are not as hip to all of the policies. So we don't know exactly what, some stuff we just get lost in some of the details. And then they say, well, let me respond to that because they said something that's not true. So we're looking, most of us just want to see, like, how do you communicate to us? So here's what we saw today. We saw two different politicians, and to use my analogy, lawyerly, one has accusatory politics and one had narrative politics. All right. So let me break down. I'm sure you could tell who was what. And let me tell you what we just saw, give you some examples, and then tell you, just again, it's just my opinion, of course. Who am I, right? But if you clicked on your watch, this is what you get. I'm not on the left or the right. I don't trust any of them. So I'm giving you as best as I can an objective take. All right. So you have accusatory politics, which is what Donald Trump does. All right. So Donald Trump in 2016, this was brilliant. So accusatory, insulting politics is what Donald Trump does. In 2016, man, it was just different. It was a different kind of it was a different kind of delivery. It was a different style. And honestly, whether you like Donald Trump or not, or you thought like he's the Donald, it was entertaining. Him going at Marco Rubio and different guys and going at, even when he debated Joe Biden a couple months ago, a month or two ago, part of what made it funny was he would just look at Joe Biden like, he actually won the face debates. Like he was looking at Joe Biden. And ironically, Kamala Harris, she won the face debate. She kept looking at him, and whoever trained her did a great job telling her to smile and almost be amused. Like she did a lot of like she did a good job. Donald Trump didn't do as well as he did against Biden. When he was looking at Biden, it was just funny because you could tell he was like, what are you talking about, bro? So accusatory politics is what Trump does. So there's two ways that Trump does this. The first way he does it is to attack Biden and Kamala Harris and all of that stuff. And what happens is Trump is so used to it that he cuts himself off often and will just go to accusation. So he might be like, look, I created a policy that, they never create policies. In fact, I create the best policies ever, and they never do anything. They never create any policies that are good. In fact, they never even fire the people that are bad people. I fire the people that were, and it's like, bro, finish your sentence about what you were going to say. He immediately goes into accusatory politics, and he starts accusing. So there's two ways to do it. One, you accuse the other people. You talk about how terrible they are, how they don't this. You insult them. You say all this stuff about them, right? But the other way that he goes into it is he accuses them by drawing attention to himself. We ran the best campaign ever. We got these people. We did the best ever at this. In the history of the nation, no one has done this better than us. He makes all these grandiose claims, and it's just not true. And this is why people were fact checking him, right? So in 2016, this was an effective strategy. And I would say even in 2020, it was an effective strategy to some degree. He still lost the election. Whether you think I don't think it was stolen. I think he just lost, right? Same way he beat Hillary and she thought she was stolen, but she lost. It's been going downhill each time he runs. So 2016, it was new, it was funny, it was brash, it was like bam, right? But then you get 2020, and now it's like, all right, but the country was very volatile. It was a COVID year, race was exploding, all this stuff, and so you get that. Now in 2024, I think Trump, if he needs to debate her again, and he has to come from a different angle, right? There were times he caught himself and tried to talk to the American people. But when the accusatory politics that he does, it works well when for your constituents. The conservatives, they love that. The Republicans, they just want to see, because that's what he does. He'll make fun of you. He'll insult you. And that's cool for an Instagram viral moment. But in terms of okay, we've seen that trick before. We've seen it. Most people aren't going to be as blown away by that. The best thing that I think Trump did, and again, you can disagree with me, the best thing that I think Trump did was when they started talking about Iran and Israel, and I thought he did a great. I think that was his strongest point of the night when he said that Iran had no money because they had so many, tariffs and different things on them and sanctions, and then all of a sudden now they got like 300 billion. Trump exaggerates so much you don't know if the number is accurate. 300 billion a year or something. That's a lot of money. But he basically saying, and I think Kamala Harris could not refute that. I think his point was, he said two main points in that section. One, Iran has grown in their money because of what Joe Biden have done and being soft on them, and they've been able to. They took away some of these tariffs and some of these sanctions, and now Iran is now funding Hamas and these other things, which I think to some degree people have said that also, right? And the other thing that was strong was when he said that she went and met with. He said Putin, and she proved that he was lying. But he made a good point and said, yeah, you negotiated with these people. You went there to talk to them, and 3 days later, the war started. Essentially saying, you have no credibility with them. That didn't happen. So that was, to me, his strongest point. I thought that was his strongest point. But the accusation politics is pretty standard for Trump. And I think for people who are going to vote Trump anyway, you're going to love that. But for the people who were kind of in the middle, you're kind of like, here we go again. All right. So that was one side of what we just watched. But then the other side, Kamala Harris had narrative politics, right? And she did that really well. She had narrative politics. And this is what let me just say this. In a political debate, you want to win the most at narrative politics. And this is what I mean by narrative, obviously, story. Kamala Harris, most of what she talked about tonight was she told stories. She told stories. And we're a story people. I mean, if you're a Christian, the Bible is full of stories. The gospel is a story. We look back on the fall we love narrative. We love stories. And Donald Trump went the accusation route. The only time where he really told some stories, when he talked about his dad and how much he did, he told a little bit, but a lot of it was about, look at what I've done. I'm better than these people. Look at who they are. They haven't done anything. Why haven't you done it? Why haven't you done it? After a while, it's like, and then you're cutting people off. So, but the narrative politics, Kamala Harris, she did a better job at narrative politics. That was her thing. She told stories, the woman who was, assaulted and you don't have the right to tell this woman that she can't have, who do you think you are? I grew up like this. And, when I stood there and I asked the people, I didn't say, are you a Democrat or Republican? I said, are you okay? I met with these people and I talked to women. She did a great job at narrative politics. And every once in a while, she threw in one of her policies, but she didn't spend a lot of time talking about her policies. Here's what she would do. She would say, can I respond to that? And then she would start off like this. Let's talk about how we got here, right? So that was a bit accusatory. Let's talk about how we got here. And then she would go into what Donald Trump and them did, and he would just sit there looking like, because I think some of the stuff she said was true, and he couldn't really debate that. So what he did was he attacked and even tried that one thing, I'm talking. Remember when you heard that before? Like, those kind of antics, I think, in 2024 are not going to win Donald Trump the election. Unless you're going to vote for, you're just going to vote. I'm not talking about, are you going to vote for him? People who are conservatives are going to vote for Trump, and liberals are going to vote for Kamala. That's just, it is what it is. But there's always those people, right? Those swing states, those undecided voters. You got to think like them. So if you're watching a courtroom drama, who won? And you have to be able to set aside the political, because this wasn't about policies, right? They did try to ask questions about abortion and about different, it went there, the questions were there. But and let's just be clear. I don't know if it's possible to get neutral people, but the moderators did not like Trump from the get-go. That was, to me, obvious. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a garbage pail kid. Because they were irritated with him from the buzzer. So me and my buddy were texting I was like, man, they're not, Now granted, he's going to interrupt you, but let's just be clear. You know who Donald Trump is. This isn't his first merry-go-round. So you know that he's going to be interruptive. He's going to insult. Like, what are you getting attempted? Why are you offended at how Donald Trump is? So you're showing your bias already that you don't even like to do. You know, it wasn't toward the end where the woman was like, okay, Vice President Harris, I'm sorry, we need to keep, but she wasn't doing that a lot. It was towards the end they did that, right? So that was one thing. But I think Kamala Harris, I think she won this debate. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying her policies are better than Trump. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about the debate. If you think about who she looked more poised, she told more stories, and that's what people resonate with. They resonate with that. One of the dumbest things that Trump, I think, and his team do is they forget what he said in previous elections. So when he says about Kamala, yeah, but you didn't do this and you didn't do that, and look at the border, and the border is terrible because of you. Actually, President Trump, you campaigned in 2016 and said that you were going to get Mexico to to build the wall. That was one of Trump's. He ran on that campaign that Mexico was going to build the wall. Did they build the wall? No. So when you start talking about what she didn't do and what you got to also, you got to take it to the chin. He didn't build the wall. You made us think you're going to make Mexico pay billions of dollars to build a wall, and them folks didn't do that. You can't blame that on the Democrats, fam. He didn't do that. He didn't keep his promises. So in terms of what we watch, debates are not about policies, whether you believe it or not. They're not about policies. People will say what they think. Debates are about who's more composed and who does a better job convincing the viewers that they would have a better political disposition as president. It's really not about policies, because if you're a conservative, you're going to vote whoever that's on the ticket. And if you're a Democrat, you're going to vote whoever's on the ticket. These debates don't do anything for you. You might be disappointed or encouraged by whoever you're going to vote for, but they don't really do anything for you. But for those of us who are just watching, who can be as objective as possible because we don't have skin in the game in terms of who wins, you look at this and you think, Trump did not win this debate. Again, if you're going to vote for Trump, you're going to think he won it. But from as objective as I can be, I think he did terrible in this debate. He did terrible. And I think when your comebacks, see, Kamala's comebacks were like, okay, can I speak to what he just said? And then she told a story, right? She told a story. People are going to resonate with stories. They're going to resonate. This is one of the beautiful things about the gospel is that it's a story. It's a story of God's love, God's holiness, and Jesus taking on both of those to save us. It's a story. And I think Donald Trump is not good at telling stories. He's good at boasting about facts or highlighting specific things from a business perspective. I think he does that well, but tonight, I think he got his head hit. And I think if you're going to vote conservative, you're going to vote conservative regardless. But if you're being honest, Donald Trump got his head hit. He got hit in the mouth today. She did a great, I don't think I think we're doomed in terms of hope for the presidency. My hope is in Jesus. I trust that whoever's in the White House, God's the president of the galaxies. I'm not worried about the president of the United States. But so whoever wins, it's going to be difficult either way. I don't think anyone's going to come in and just be like, wow, they really saved the country. I think we're in a much more dangerous place than that someone can just come in, because there's too much vitriol between the left and the right, and whoever controls the House, and there's so many other things that have to, like, the president doesn't have as much power as we think. They're the figurehead of an organization that needs people who don't like them to buy in. And so the bipartisanship is largely a thing of the past in modern day politics. Whereas bipartisanship used to be the only way you could get things done. I think Obama was probably the last president where the illusion of bipartisanship was sort of still around. But I think he wrecked a lot of stuff, especially with the stuff he was doing towards the last 2 years of his campaign. I mean, he was just wilding out, talking about the government's going to sue school systems that don't let people who identify with a certain gender use bathroom. And it was just, he's going to pull funding, and then school systems were countersuing. Like, what are you doing, fam? So there's a lot of that stuff. But in terms of the debate, what we watched was not a demonstration of who has better policies. It was accusatory politics versus narrative politics. And I think the accusatory politics lost today. I think that Trump was just too, and Kamala Harris, her face, her body language, she played it well. She didn't look intimidated. She was smiling like what? And then she dealt with these things and then challenged him. And she was emotional at the right times for the story she was telling, especially about a woman. Now, I don't agree. I just did a video earlier about a woman's right to choose. Choose what is the question, right? And I just think it's wrong. But the way she articulated it, if you're a woman and you're going to feel that because you're talking to a man who, and I think she also, what she did, so there were accusatory politics and then there were just facts, right? Whether you think Trump was the trials and the convictions against him are sham or not, he's still convicted. So she highlighted, look, these people that you were with they turned against you. They wrote books about these people you're a criminal. He's this, he's that. I mean, there are things that he said that get used against him. Lastly, I'll say this. I think Trump lost a good opportunity. He lost a ridiculous opportunity when the moderator asked him about his comments about her being black or not. Trump lost an opportunity right there. When they asked him, why did he make comments about her being black and then not being black and then now she's black? And Trump's answer, you could tell he was terrified. He didn't know what to say. Then he was like, no, I'm fine with either. I was just pointing out I was fine with either. And then she was just, she knew that issue because here's the thing. They've been promoting Trump as getting more black voters. So Trump had to be careful what he said there because he didn't want to, and this is why I mean, if you were just a genuine person, he missed an opportunity right there. Because when they asked him that, he buckled. Oh, no, I just said, I just didn't understand it, so I'm fine with either. She can be black or not. And when they asked her, she was like, and then she hit him. This is the same dude that, said that in Charlottesville, and she gave fact. That was more accusatory politics. That's true. Now, granted, the Charlottesville, she did misquote him on that. There was proof that he said more than just there are good people on both sides. It was more than that. That was true. But the stuff he said about Obama, birth and rape, all this stuff. The Central Park 5 thing, I think that's a stretch, right? At that time, that was a long time ago. I think that's a stretch. However, Trump missed it out. Here's what Trump should have said. When they asked him, why did you bring up the fact that she's black or not, and why would that matter? Trump should have said, you know why I brought that up? Is because I think that she will change her identity and what she stands for just to win people's votes. I don't have a problem. There are black people who I support. I set up Herschel Walker, and Herschel Walker was a terrible candidate. But the point is, he's black, right? Herschel Walker was, as Dave Chappelle, he wasn't a good candidate. But the point is Trump could have appealed to his relationship. I don't have a problem for, but what I have a problem with, because I know black people and I know some of the struggles. I'm not black, but I know some of the struggles that they've had to fight for. I've heard their stories and I understand that. What I had a problem with was her not identifying as black, but then when it was convenient for her identifying as black, to me, I'm the same dude, whether you like me or not. I'm the same guy wherever I am. I'm going to say this, but she's switching. He should have did that. That would have been a good boom. That would have been good if he did that. But he didn't. He lost an opportunity because at that point, when they asked him that question, he knew he lost. He was losing the debate. He knew halfway through the debate, she's winning this joint. He underestimated Kamala Harris. This is the thing. You can't listen to with your constituent. Oh man, no one's going to vote for her. Everyone sees who she is. Nah, fam. She's out to win. I don't want her. I don't want either any of them to win. I just want the Lord to return, right? But I think, I'm seeing a article right now that says Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris. On one level, so what? Who cares? This is the thing. When that stuff happens, you know why I never care? Because I'm not a hyper Calvinist, but I trust God's sovereignty. And I'm just, no one, whoever goes into the White House is who the Lord wanted in the White House for whatever reason. Whether it's a judgment against the nation or whatever. So I'm not so like she endorses, who cares? So what? That's great. That doesn't mean she's going to win. But anyway, my point is he missed an opportunity. He could have exposed, because I think Kamala Harris is a fraud in that sense. She's a fraud in that sense. Now you're a black woman. Now you're that. She's a fraud in that sense. I think so. I'm saying that as a black man. She's a fraud in that sense. So I think, and that's the way the Democrats play black people. The Democrats play black people the way Republicans play Christians. They switched up on abortion, and he was backpedaling. He was moonwalking when they asked him about abortion. He was doing his best Michael Jackson joint. He doesn't care about that stuff. He just wants to win again. He doesn't care about the concerns that many conservative Christians have. He just doesn't. I could show you right now. I didn't pull this up because this was going to be a separate video, but there was Al Mohler a couple days ago, who's a staunch conservative. He's the president of Southern Seminary. He had a long tirade about like conservative Christians better wake up because Trump and them are backing away from the core values. I mean, this is happening. So all that to say, what we witnessed was a courtroom drama, and I think if I'm in the jury and I'm deciding I think Kamala Harris won this debate. I don't think that doesn't mean I think she has better policy. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just who carried themselves better. And she kept saying this too, which I thought was brilliant. She kept saying, the people are kind of tired of this. Like here was her phrase. We have more in common, or I'm paraphrasing, we have more in common than we don't have in common. So I know some conservatives will watch this and be offended and maybe unsubscribe. And you're just soft if you do that. Because my point, I don't care about Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. I think they're both I think if I'm putting my confidence and hope in politics, we're doomed. I think we're doomed. I think America's going down as a nation, and it's not just because of who runs the country. That's it's because of many other factors that America is just not who we used to be on one level in terms of morality and things like that. And I don't think it's just one agenda. I think the agenda is Satan's more so than left or right. But having said that, in terms of what we watched and witnessed, I think it was accusatory politics versus narrative politics. I think Kamala Harris presented herself better. Trump missed an opportunity, missed 2 or 3 actually. I think if he needs to debate her again, he better debate her again, because if he just goes on the attack, people are going to be like, don't forget that he's been turning on conservative Christians, and they're watching this and they're going to be like, man, I'm getting tired of this dude, And then don't forget that people switch up. The Democrats switched up on Joe Biden with the quickness. So conservatives will switch up on him. And then lastly, I think Trump, he's clearly not in tune with like his vice president. So J.D. Vance said something that they quoted him, and he was like, well, that's not my position. But then he realized, but I'm okay with him saying that. I mean, that's fine. That's his position. They're not even you could tell they're not even on the same page, because Trump is on the Trump train. I bet you him and Trump don't even I bet you, I don't know. They probably don't even talk that much, but what do I know? I just think this was a crazy moment. As a believer, I'm not impressed, and I'm more convinced I need to just press in to prayer for the nation and trust the Lord, and whoever wins, I got to live a life that honors the Lord regardless, and teach my kids, my church, and all that how to do that. So whatever it's like. All right, let's go to the tape, see what we talking about, what we doing. It said, I'm at work, so I didn't get to see it, but I see a bunch of comments online saying Trump didn't do well. Nah, he didn't. Shop talk. He didn't do well at all. He didn't do well, man. I just think, nah, he didn't. And he missed some opportunities. Ivan, good evening, Pastor Kurt. Random, what's your favorite Bible? I like ESV right now. I use ESV. So it's a different, so in terms of preaching, probably ESV. In terms of like just like essentially literal, I like the NASB, but it's kind of clunky because it's like almost a word for like literal translation. I would say I largely use the ESV, especially. I was at CSB for a little bit, but there's some things that, so when the Bibles are just translations from different languages, right? So if it's Old Testament, it's translation from Hebrew, and then if it's New Testament, it's Koine Greek. And words are just compound words, and sometimes one word could mean a number of different things depending on the context. And it's the same in English. If I said there, the word there it sounds the same when you say it, but there are different spellings in different contexts. So you won't know which there I'm talking about unless I say they're over there. I think that's theirs. There's so Greek is like that, and I think at times in translation, Greek, there's some translations that just get I think better what the Greek means in that context. And so I use ESV for preaching. It says, I'm here, bro. What's up? Thanks for making this video in spite of it being late. It's not late to me. I only didn't want to make it because I thought people might not even be around to watch it. It's not late to me. I'm a night owl. Exactly. LOL. Yep. Trump started out good. First 4 minutes he was calm. 100%. 100%. And that's his thing, though, because that's what won him the election in 2016. And that's just what he does. Trump doesn't have, it takes him a lot of self-control to be poised, and it's hard for him to demonstrate that. I'm not sure who won, but I know that we all lose with these two. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Trump 24 is ready. Cool, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Dennis Espinoza. Harris, slick, manipulative liar. The problem is too many people are not intelligent to see through her BS. Yeah, you know what, Dennis? Like here's why I have a problem with that statement. I don't even think you're not accurate, but what I hate is, brother, be like real. Just be real about it. Like Trump is a pathological liar too. It's not like she's a liar and manipulative and Trump isn't. Like he's a pathological liar. Like at least say they're just liars, fam. Like that's the problem that I have. This is why I'm not even in politics like that. Why I don't? Because people just don't have the maturity to be honest, right? When I do a video, I put this verse up from Ephesians 5. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them, right? The darkness isn't on the left side and the right. I think they're like, brother, you gotta be honest, fam. They're all liars, bro. It's just not like Trump is a truth teller and Kamala Harris is slicking in. They're politicians, fam. They care about power. They all lie. They all lie. So, hey, man, Richard. Yeah. Yes, his answer to Kamala ID crisis was lame. It was lame, bro. It was lame. You know what I'm saying? So many times, neither of them really answered 100%, Jay Dunlap. But again, that's my point. We watched accusatory politics versus narrative. It wasn't about policies. It wasn't policy politics. It wasn't a policy debate. They asked questions about policy, but then Kamala, they goes into stories. When I travel and I talk to people, this is what they want. They want to see us come together. They want to see this. They want to that's narrative politics. And she did a good job of telling stories. And Trump, he'll start off, and then he goes into accusatory, and it's like, fam, it just gets played out after a while. But stories, you don't get tired of stories, and that's why I think Kamala, she mollywopped him on this one. And I don't want her to win president, but I don't want Trump to win either. I want Jesus to send a third option. Yes, everyone's getting played unless you don't even take them seriously. I looked at the debate more as entertainment than informative. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I'm not even, I look at it as a cultural phenomenon. And I know that people will take it seriously. So I want to be sensitive to how other people feel. I don't want to arrogantly think that like my position is the position. It's just my position. And people can disagree all they want. I'm sure I would disagree with them. And that doesn't bother me. It says, word, Candace Owens is on tour trying to repair a fractured relationship with the black community. Is that true? I think so. And I think it's not going to work. It's not going to work. She may get some people, but I don't think it's going to work for her. And I think, you know why? And this is going to sound crazy, what I'm about to say. It's going to sound crazy. I think largely it's for two reasons why she's not going to repair. The first reason is going to sound crazy, so let me explain why. One, because she's married to a white dude, all right? And let me explain why I'm saying that. I don't mean that in the most racist way. What I mean is Candace Owens made her career demeaning and attacking black people, never apologizing when she got Ahmaud Arbery wrong, when she got George Floyd wrong. She just, whenever a black person was shot by the police, she was the first one to jump out there and say, I believe the police, don't trust the story, wait for all the facts, all of that stuff. But then when the facts would come in and prove that she was wrong, she never humbled herself and apologized. It wasn't until she clashed with Ben Shapiro, and now you're on the outs with the white Jewish sort of community. Now you want to come back and try to like act like you're about blackness and all of that stuff. But you're married to a white dude. And that's the problem. Isn't she's married to a white dude. The problem is you're married to a white dude and you said all these negative things about black people. If she were married to a black man, I think a lot of black people would overlook it. But when you see that like she's married to a white dude and she's trying to take things back and talk about it, just you lose some steam. So and I think the other reason why it'll be tough for Candace Owens is because even though they treat black people like they're stupid, like they think that like remember this? Remember when they called Bill Clinton the first black president? Remember that? And people can say why they called him that. And there's all these different articles that said that, and it was like a Washington Post. Bill Clinton was called the first black president because Bill Clinton could play the saxophone and he was like a cool dude. And he said he smoked weed, but he didn't inhale. So it's like you attribute these attributes connected to black people as these negative. And then his legacy was Monica Lewinsky, right? The first black president. You know, that's what happened. And then Trump, when he gets supposedly falsely accused, when he gets arrested and all this stuff, then it's like, oh, the black people he's rallying black people because they can relate to his struggle, all that. It's like you constantly are mocking black people and just trying to use us for your gain. It's just stupid. Remember Joe Biden talking about you ain't black unless you vote for Joe Biden, vote for me? Man, I kid you not. There was an old movie called The Shocker where this serial killer could come through. He got electrocuted, but somehow it gave him powers and he could come through the TV screen. Man, I wish, when Joe Biden said, I wish I was the Shocker, when he was talking to Charlamagne the guy, I'd have came through the TV and grabbed that man. What you talking about? Voting for you. I ain't black unless I vote for you. I just think they play black people. So I don't think black people are going to be Candace Owens. I think some people will, but I don't think she's going to gain black people back, man. Amen. Honor the law, on the Lord and the law of the land, even if 100%. Like, what else do we have, brother? Like, we don't have options. We have Christological character, not constitutional character. Our character is not constitutional. Like, I don't think of myself, my Christianity is not connected to what the Constitution says I have a right to. Like, the Bible does not say that you have a right to practice your freedom of religion. That's what the Constitution says. So all these Christians are pissed off, but the Bible says, no, you will be persecuted. Tribulation will come, nation that will rise against you for my name's sake. You brother will rise against brother. You will be. That's what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say we have a right to and freedom to practice our religion. That's what the Constitution says. So a lot of Christians, in many ways, are pushing back against what the Bible actually says happens to those of us who stand for Jesus. It's not like the conservatives are for and the liberals are against it. No, you can be a conservative and not care about Jesus at all. I think Trump is a prime example of that. I don't think he's a believer. I could be wrong, but I don't see the fruit at all. I remember that prophecy that when Trump got shot, the dude who prophesied he got shot said that God told him that he was going to have a dramatic conversion after that. I don't know. I don't. Maybe it was in the future, but I don't see it now. So, yeah, man. I think it's kind of wild. All right, and I think it's safe to say that after the debate, that the Christians who said Trump was touched by the Lord are looking pretty suspect. 100%, bro. Dude hasn't changed at all. 100%, bro. Like this is why I've been saying for years they're just theological. I think conservative Christianity. So this is what I think people do. They'll call it like civic engagement, right? This idea that I'm taking my faith to be better in the world. And so what's happened is I think civic engagement is just a very poor definition of what we call missiology, mission. Go into all the world and make disciples. Civic engagement is about doing good for the betterment of society. And a lot of times that's changing moral laws to fit more what God designs. But God's after the salvation of souls, not the changing of cultural morality, right? So I think in many ways, a lot of Christians who are putting their hope in Trump, like we could just cry out to the Lord, right? That's what's wild to me. We could cry, but like there's so much hope in Trump and particularly like the Christians who touched by the Lord, and then you see this, and then you have to backpedal, and then you have to make up excuses. Well, their policies are still better than such and such, and it's like, fam, like I just think just take it to the chin. Like I was telling somebody, Dennis, earlier, like, bro, just take it to the chin. Trump is a pathological liar. I think Kamala Harris is a liar. Oh, she slept her way to the top. Show the Trump. Trump is like, he's been married 3 times, has committed adultery against Melania. I mean, what are we talking about here, right? It's same idol, different altar. I think we just got to be honest and say, you know what? For us, I just think we need to accept that persecution is coming for the church. And I think in many ways, I think people mean well, and they think politics is a way to preserve the nation and what the founding fathers intended. You know what? And this is going to sound maybe self-righteous. I don't care about the founding fathers. I care about the Father. I want to do what the Father said, not the founding fathers' intent for the nation. I don't care what they think. There's speculation that many of them weren't Christians anyway, right? So, like, I want to do what the Father says. I don't care what the founding fathers wanted for the country. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful to be an American and all of that. I'm glad. Okay, cool. But I'm not. My hope isn't in what the founding fathers wrote. My Constitution has 66 books. So I just think a lot of this I think persecution is coming. I think a lot of modern day politics, particularly on the conservative side, is to avoid persecution at all costs, because by changing laws and trying to present. And I'm not saying don't vote, don't do anything. No, we live in a country where we're allowed to speak out against these things for sure. But I just think the reality is many of us are worried about being persecuted. And the Bible says, 2 Timothy 3:12, indeed, all who desire to live a godly life will be persecuted. The Bible, Christianity is about the character of grace, not just the profession of faith. It's the character of faith. Do you have the character, the fruit? That's what God's after. And we have to have that character if we have a Marxist as president, if we become a socialist nation. My faith does not hinge on who is in the presidency and what their policies are. I got to be faithful to the Lord if Satan is the president. And to be honest with you, he often is. So I just think, man, whatever. What do I know? We're just trying to do it. That's too heavy for us milquetoast Christians. Persecuted 100%. Yeah. Spoken like a true sold-out believer. Trying to be faithful, man. Trying to be faithful. All right. Interesting show. Good. It was a good debate. It was entertaining at best. I think politically, I just think we're doomed. And I think we need to pray for our country more than we need to worry about who runs the country. And I think that's the power we do have. The power I have is not in who I vote for, because the Electoral College changes a lot of that. My power is who I pray for and who I pray to. That's what your power is if you're a believer. If you're not, then I get it. You got to put your stock in who runs the country. I get it. But for those of us that aren't there, I just think, yeah. All right, last comment, which I think, no offense. Sorry to tell you about Trump won the debate. Yeah, because you're a conservative, 100%. You're a conservative. And I think all conservatives are going to say Trump won, and all Democrats, Republicans are going to say, all Democrats are going to say Kamala won. That's totally fine with me. You say whatever you want. I gave my logic and my reason. Feel free to make a video and disprove everything I said. But I don't think Trump won this debate at all. I think you only think that because you think Kamala Harris was the worst candidate. And you're probably right in one sense. But he didn't win this debate, though. I'm not going to... You can't pee on me and tell me it's raining, Slim. He didn't win this debate. I really don't care. I didn't watch. Blessed everyone. Pray for God. Well, and I think that's what we'll end right there. Appreciate y'all. Grace and peace. We'll see you tomorrow.